Alright, y'all. I was able to secure 5th place in my very first MAKBF tournament of the season. The tournament took place on Mattawoman. It's a great fishery that's on the Potomac, and you know, it's one of my favorite places to fish. It's got snakehead, although I haven't caught one yet, and catfish and tons of bass out there. But we launched at low tide. The temperature for the air was about 70 degrees. The water temp was in the low 60s, and when we launched during low tide, and that kind of, for me, that really made the fishing hard. My game plan really kind of involved having good tide, but you know, that's how it goes. You know, I did throw a lot at some of the pads. I just couldn't get anything to bite. So what I decided to do was to park my little happy butt here on a point, kind of a very main point to the channel, because I knew at some point in time a fish had to get actually bumped my head there a little bit. I knew a fish had to come through there eventually, and you know, luckily I was able to pick up this guy right here. He's my first fish of the day, and you know, once I picked him up, that kind of gave me a little confidence that I knew I was in a good area. So I continued to work the spots a little bit, and here I just flip a Texas rig KVD worm, and I still got my hand on the line because I'm preparing another flip. And that's where I kind of go wrong here, is because when I need to set the hook, I don't get enough good enough hook set, and I end up losing this fish.
That field is underwater. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my electronics to go up to where I know I'm in 12 feet of water right now, and I know as soon as I start approaching that pad field, it's definitely going to come up, you know, because the pads aren't really going to grow here in that deep of water. So they generally grow on the edges where it's shallower, about 5 feet or so. So right now I'm still 11 feet, and I'm just getting closer. I can see tops of pads and coming up on it, boom, right there. So that's how I'm going to judge where I'm going to start casting and make my cast from. I'm telling you, it is all about using the wind to your advantage. Right now I'm over a big, very large pad field, and what I'm doing is I'm taking my spinnerbait and I'm dragging my spinnerbait across the tops of these pads, and I'm using the wind to push me, and it's allowing me to cover this area very effectively, like I would be able to in a boat.
This is what I was talking about when I said, you know, I had a plan for the morning, but because the tide was going out, it was really exposing the pads a lot faster than I thought it would. And once I sat there and waited, and I really was just waiting for that tide to come back. I knew we were going to have about an hour of good fishing when the tide came back, and so I really tried to capitalize on that. I had one fish that I caught during low tide, and I caught that around 11 o'clock or so, and then you know, that was it. I caught 3 fish. Thank God it was a 3-fish limit tournament, because that's all I caught. And I did the exact same thing last year, except I had one fish flop off the board and I lost 3rd place. But luckily I got this chunky monkey right there, and you know, that really helped jump me up the leaderboard. That was a 17 3/4 fish. But you know, I'm throwing the Monroe on my medium heavy crank and stick. I really love this rod. I think it's a rod everybody should have. I mean, it's great for throwing any type of moving baits. The tip just seriously loads up on this thing. It almost feels like you got a wet rag on the end, and then you just kind of set the hook and the fish is wobbling. I really love that rod. It's a great rod. It's a Ducket. I've also got that paired with the 6.3 Daiwa Tatula Type R. That's kind of my like slow roll presentation for spinners and cranks and stuff. So that's what I was throwing.
So now the tide's come back in, it's over the tops of these pads, and the fish are moving from the deeper parts and coming in with the tide, and they're moving back up and into these pads, and that's what I'm doing, and that's why I'm doing this. It was part of my tactic that I wanted to throw, but since the tide went out so fast, you know, I had to resort to other things, and those didn't pan out as well. But this has allowed me to get a limit, so you know, take that for what it is.
shooting.